COO, Broadbridge, India. Mr. Amit comes with close to 25. Forward to our panelists. I'd like to introduce our panelists now. First up is Mr. Suresh Gundapaneni, Director, Verizon. Suresh comes with a stellar career spanning nearly 2 decades. He is a recognized senior leadership level professional for organizations, has equipped him with deep understanding of customer and business needs, making him a cross-functional team at Next Education, trusted by millions of students, teachers, and schools across India. Next Education's innovative K-12 solutions are shaping the future of education. Moving forward, we have Mr. Naveen Upadhyay, VP Customer Success, Blue Yonder. Sir, please join us. Yes, Mr. Naveen Upadhyay is a seasoned IT strategist and product delivery expert. A proud alumnus of NIT Surat and IIT Bangalore, he brings a wealth of experience in managing and growing large IT engagements with operational excellence, with a proven track record in building and scaling IT practices with SaaS engagements. He has fostered trusted relationships with clients, serving as their go-to technical and optimization partner, an advocate of lean, agile, and Scrum methodologies. He is known for driving outcome-based engagements. Moving forward, we have our next member on the panel, Narayana Murthy K, CDO, Avatar Technologies. Narayana Murthy K is the Chief Digital Officer at Avatar Technologies, a fake tech company. He has also led go-to-market strategy, customer success, and partner enablement for Brain Enterprises Private Limited in the past. As a visionary responsible for NSL Hub Platform Services, Business, he NLP and more, creating a new paradigm in enterprise applications. Yelluri, CEO, co-founder, NUACM AI. Sir, request you to please join us here. Vamshi Yelluri is a co-founder and CEO of, NASM NUACM AI. With his strong entrepreneurial vision, Vamshi drives product development, Okay, on behalf of Vamshi Krishna, we have Mr. Arpit Avasti. Request you, sir, to please take your seat. Up next is Satyendra Sinha, VP Technology, GEP Worldwide. Yes, Satyendra Sinha comes with a remarkable blend of technical breadth and depth, as well as outstanding organizational leadership skills. He has achieved remarkable success in IT product development and consulting endeavors with industry giants like Microsoft, Oracle, CMC. Notably, he has also played a pivotal role in setting up and growing the Microsoft IT India Development Center in Hyderabad, and has been instrumental in the development of numerous V1 service at Microsoft. And yes, up next, Arjit Mukherjee, SVP, Bank Department, Martech, Analytics, Data Science, DBS Bank. Arjit comes with over 19 years of expertise in business and marketing, analytics, data science, and business intelligence. He has driven strategic thinking and customer-centric approaches to achieve competitive and advantage and business transformation, from end-to-end implementation of BI and analytics solutions to leading global technology and business transformation projects. His impact spans across banking, insurance, telecom, manufacturing, and retail industries. And now I hand it over to our moderator to take over the session, Mr. Amit Mitra.
Mamsi also needs to come. Mamsi needs to come. Can I get the mic here, please? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Can I invite Vamsi to stage as well? Is Vamsi around? No? Okay. Huh?
at GDD India Novartis with a remarkable background as a clinical researcher and healthcare professional. He brings over 17 years of invaluable experience to the table. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Dr. Vivek.
All right, thank you. I'm glad we don't have that much audience today because all the little bit of mishaps that are happening out here, not too many people are witnessing that. But I hope that a lot more will join us for the very interesting conversation that we are going to have today. A lot has been already said. I hope also that on a nice rainy day where people are hoping for some pakodas and chais, I am very glad to see there are a lot more people interested in understanding the value of that AI brings to customer and employee experience. So I would like for you all to give yourself a round of applause, please. And I know that the audience will decide how this round of conversation is going to go, and at the end of it, you can give us a round of applause, but I think you deserve to just because you're here, especially after lunch. I'll get us started. Of course, we have a very eminent set of senior leaders from across various industries, representing us on this very important topic. I'll get us started with one simple question, and this is obviously a rhetorical question, so you don't have to answer this question, which is, when was the last time you heard about AI and ML? It is a rhetorical question, so you don't have to answer. I know the answer. But the question I think that is more important is really about why did this explosion of AI happen right now? Because 25 years back when I was doing my BTech and I was passing out and I was doing my project was also on AI. My project was also about decision support system. And this was more on the legal domain. How do you help the lawyers make better decisions using AI? Was the project I was doing 25 years back. But a lot has changed in the last 25 years. And so the question that that I would ask first is, why is AI exploded right now, especially after ChatGPT? The answer, of course, I already gave, because there is a lot more interest, thanks to the algorithms, thanks to the data, thanks to the processing power. All of that has become available, and so AI has become so important. But the question that needs to be really answered now is, with AI becoming so popular and getting embedded in every part of the business, every part of the customer journey, what are the various organizations doing in ensuring that AI brings out the most in terms of the customer interaction and the employee interaction? This is exactly what we will learn from our panelists out here. And so what I will do is, the first question that I will pose to this set of very eminent panelists is, how are we really reimagining the customer experience and the employer experience using AI in their various domains? Because all of them have come from various domains in this, we have composed this based on how different areas and different industries are addressing this challenge. So let's hear a little bit from them. So I'll start with you, Suresh, if you don't mind just talking about how you are taking this forward.
Right. So as we all know, AI/ML has been the word for so many decades, or at least 2 decades minimum. Now where we stand, or where we started with identifying the customer first. So that's where we started, we are struggling to identify who the customer is. Then that's the first step we implemented. This is my first model we implemented, and then we know who is coming, especially Verizon being the retail store heavily 10 years or 15 years back. When customer enter into the store, we wanted to see who that is. And the next one, what is that customer wants before even they come and talk to one of our representative there. That's the next use case. Then how are we going to give what more, or as any organization, we also wanted to sell more, right? So customer came for a telephone and a plan. Now, what add-ons we can sell, right? That's going to be the next step. And I also wanted to tell a good story about, like, while organizations have started using this, it has to be sensible. Otherwise, like, imagine you are coming from your home to office and Hyderabad traffic police starts using like AML and change the route every day. How is that experience going to be, right? So same way, we have loyal customers with us for more than 2 or 3 decades. When they come to you or when they come to your organization, either through digital assets or through physical, it is very important for us to provide smooth customer experience and ensure focus on the customer first before the organization. So that is the hyper-personalization we are talking about. I'm sure this word is being used several times from the morning, but yes, we wanted to have a hyper customization for the customer and provide best service while we sell more. That's
awesome.
our focus.
Awesome. Yeah, it just almost seems like all these large consumer grade products, whether I use a Google or Amazon or any of these apps that I use, they seem to know a lot more about me than I do, right? So personalization has come to that extent, but the question is, how do you take that and replicate it in every other scenario? Pace, what are your thoughts?
Hi. See, I'm in the education domain, and I think nothing is getting more impacted than education through AI ML. But we within that also focus with through to K through 12, right? And within that, like, AI ML, the journey started probably, like, as you said, like 20 years back when people started making basic adaptive systems. Those IRT theories started coming in, and then whole this knowledge space theory started coming in. Now, fundamentally, the difference between few years back versus right now is that you can actually do few things real time, and you can do them at scale. For example, I'll give you an example is that, basic in country like India, to test us, check a subjective question is so subjective in itself that you can never get a consistent ranking or consistent marks, as well as deeper analysis don't come. Every teacher is not a handwriting expert to know things. Now when we deploy a solution for our English learning, if a child writes an essay, we can actually tell them whether the child wrote it under stress or not under stress. When you do it under a proctored environment, you can actually check whether the child has a better learning environment at home or not. So the idea is that using AI ML in finding the things which were next to impossible is now possible definitely in education, especially on these kind of things. Even like, I'll give you another example is that when student is studying, right, trying to know when he's bored and show him something keeps him on the app lot more than other things, right? So all these kind of things are now possible through AI ML, and that's what we are trying to implement through. Thanks.
No, absolutely. One of the questions that we got asked is, what is AI ML? Are the capabilities of AI ML going beyond what humans can do? We were just discussing this behind, and one of the jokes that we had was, if you see the photo of Suresh on the brochure, okay, you can take a look at it. In the brochure, if you see Suresh's photo, you as a human would never have allowed him inside. Only an AI would be able to really look at his features and identify that this is really Suresh. Did you find this picture? Maybe you did not identify. Maybe you've seen it, but cannot identify it. If I can ask you, Naveen, what is happening in the supply chain area that you are working on?
So first, I would like to borrow some of the statements which were made earlier part of the day. So a couple of things. One was that AI is just an enabler, it is not the end goal. And I truly believe is that the end goal is a satisfied customer rather than using the best of the breed technology, AI and other stuff, correct? So some of the things which my particular industry has used, or the supply chain management industry. So if you see in the recent past, there has been a lot of disruption, especially in the supply chain world. earlier it was because of the pandemic, then it was because of the war. It is very difficult to, and what that has done, it has impacted the supply side and demand side both. People's buying pattern, their preferences have changed. And again, when it comes to the raw material side, the supply part of the raw material and the distribution system, transportation management, everything has gone for a change. So one of the things which we are using as a supply chain management product organization, we are using AI and ML extensively to utilize the entire strength of calculating the impact of various environmental factors while calculating the demand and supply. So this was probably the boring part, where I was talking about more on how the supply chain management software works. But some of the other things where we have of late started using it, I'll come to the customer experience part where the personalization thing comes into picture. This was more on the organization side. So the basic requirement or the customer expectations are exactly the same from a software organization or from an end consumer kind of a thing. A customer wants you to be available 24/7. That is requirement number one, that when I give you a call on your call center, I do not want to hear that we'll be available on Monday 8 a.m. The customer wants you to know him. So if I give you a call, I do not want you to basically ask me what is my, let's say if it is a credit card company, what is my credit card number? If it is an appliance company, don't ask me what is the ID of the appliance which I am using. The third requirement would be that I would like you to respect my time, which means that don't put me on hold. If you have asked me a certain information once, please ask me twice or multiple times. Every time I give you a call, you ask me the same question. And the fourth thing probably is you deliver on your promises which you have made. Now I'll probably try to link it with the AI ML side of the things, how we can accomplish it. With the chatbots which we are having nowadays, that 24/7 requirement of availability is already taken care of. With doing all the analysis on my buying patterns, my location, my background and everything, knowing the customer part is already taken care of. Because these are the products which are available in market. I don't want to kind of promote one brand versus another brand, but there are many organizations which are giving you products which are basically taking track of all the interactions which have happened. So those are the things which will never allow me to repeat my requirement. And the fourth thing is delivering on your promises. I think that is something which is every organization's bread and butter, and they know how to do it. So yeah, long answer for a short question, but yeah, that is what I feel.
No, absolutely. In fact, supply chain has become has come under a lot more focus, thankfully, originally because of the pandemic and then later on because of the war. And that has actually woken up a lot of organizations. They have split their supply chain into a lot more places, and figuring that piece out, the supply chain and the logistics need to come together in a very unique ways. That requires a lot of data, and that requires a lot of analysis as well.
That basically reminds me of one more interesting challenges which we guys are facing. So one of the software product which my organization makes is around transportation management.
Yeah.
Now, today's world has very unique kind of transportation management challenges. Due to the global warming, so if you see, there are certain products which are perishable. There are certain products where you need special kind of vehicles to transport those, correct? And those vehicles should maintain a particular kind of temperature, and these are the vehicles which are traveling thousands of kilometers or thousands of miles. So earlier, it used to be, one size fits all, that you will buy a particular kind of container or a vehicle which will keep the temperature at a particular level. There were certain environmental factors, those things were taken care of. Now, things have reached to a sophistication level where, based on the kind of temperature or kind of terrain these goods would be transported, whether you need to keep the same vehicle or whether you need to change the carriers in between, all of those things are coming into picture. So now you need stronger systems, which are obviously powered by AI ML, to take care of all of these environmental factors along with the traditional things.
Got it, excellent. Murthy, if I can come to you, of course, you are in a completely different domain altogether, so maybe it will be a good idea for you to just talk a little bit about your domain first, introduce that, and then talk about how you're leveraging AI ML in terms of acquiring your so-called customers, because customers itself means something very different in your context.
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for very, very interesting question. I think as we were talking before, I currently am part of the startup called INSIGHTNE'S Technologies, and as Amit was saying, it's a very, very interesting domain currently to be in. Just like we heard about fintech, health tech, and other technologies, and we are, let's say, one of the very pioneering faith tech industry. Just let me spell it for you. Faith tech means basically due to COVID, I'm sure many of us have also turned towards spirituality and religion more than we ever were before. And our organization, INSIGHTNE'S Technologies, coming from AI ML perspective, I'll answer in a bit, but let me spend a moment to let you know who our, I wouldn't use word customers, but I would say the users of our platform. INSIGHTN'S Technologies is an integrated technology platform that actually connects the divine seeker or divinity seekers to divine spiritual guides, as well as other spiritual and religious places. As well as we are also bringing up marketplace related to spiritual and religious systems. And we are multi-faith technology platform. We don't specifically promote an individual religion or a spirituality. It's more about how we can help you reach your spirituality, whatever may be the faith or the beliefs are. We wanted that to be our core, I would say, motto. Having said that, if you look at it, if you talk about spirituality or religion, especially in the world where we are in currently, where you want 10-minute delivery of a particular product to your home, at the same time, you also want to book a pandit or an astrology or a numerologist or a vastu on the palm of your mobile, and also have that service remotely, serve it at a religious place or service at your own home, right? In the case of, so we do have very vast number of partners which are non-tech savvy or low tech savvy, if you look at it. That is pandit, numerologist, astrology, vastu, Gurmukh Sangat, which is first of a kind platform for Sikhism as a religion. And Gurmukh Sangat includes Granthis and Gatka trainers and all, for some people who are familiar with those terms. So what happens is, on one spectrum, we have non-tech savvy, because imagine a pandit sitting on the, let's say Manikarnika Ghat in Varanasi. He is a partner to us, but a millennial or a zennial sitting in India, Canada, or UK is, we won't call customer, but a devotee on the platform. So we are catering to both sides of the spectrum from a technology. That is one. Second is, how do you understand what a millennial or zillennial who doesn't have as much time, and also they're very much experienced to the new age systems, that they expect to understand them before they even put in a request for a puja service or a vastu service, right? So that is what we need to look at. I think somebody said we need to understand the customer first. I would say we need to understand the ecosystem first in our case. Because once we understand the ecosystem, then we also know how to assimilate the data. That is from the business domain perspective. But then come to technology, how do you create the data lakes? Coming on to the technology part of it. And then once you have the data, then you also know basically how do you use the AI and ML techniques. For example, we, as you know, this is a very, very, very sensitive domain to be in. We cannot be insensitive to a particular religion or a spiritual belief. And if you look at it, we cannot be offering products to one follower of one particular faith, that would be offered to another faith or a religion. So this is specifically a good case study of how do we use the information of the customer, and also thanks to all the data protection and privacy laws we have, we can't ask too many questions to a customer also, and that can be saved on our databases. Because again, it's all for our protection only, end of the day, all the laws are. So we will be asking as much information as we should be helping them in the fastest way, and in the right information we have to provide them. So be it providing the partner information to a devotee, or finding the right product to a devotee based on his or her faith, that is another thing. So if you look at it, all the AI ML principles, be it personalization, be it segmentation, be it getting the insights from the data. What I'm talking about data is the data that is coming by the users of the application, mobile or web, the visitors to the web application. They will give us static data about themselves, but at the same time, dynamic data that is coming from their behavior when they're visiting the website or portal or using the application. We have to bring insights from the data, which is basically an amalgamation of these two sets of data, and that is how we are bringing up models to help our users in the ecosystem. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
Got it. No, actually, a lot of it is about data. If you really think about it, a lot of it comes down to data. I was reading somewhere very recently, you probably know that Geo Financial has been demerged, and it's going to become a new entity. It's demerged from its original entity. And people were like wondering why are they doing that, and how does Reliance benefit from this? Reliance has been a behemoth. But if you really go down to the specifics, you'll see that Reliance has a huge customer base. If you think about their telephony, just using their mobile services, there are about 400 million customers. If you add to that, there are another 200 million customers who are using their new phone. They just launched their new phone with all the services attached. That has another 200 million customers. There is another 250 million customers who are using their e-commerce platform. So using their e-commerce platform, they're buying whatever, their groceries, their garments, and everything that they would like to. So if you start looking at all the data that they're holding, and if you start combining them, it is not a wonder that Reliance figured out that getting into the financial services always is going to be significant advantage for them compared to any other player in the market. So data brings a lot of difference to this.
Correct. You are right, actually. If you see, the numbers are mind-boggling. If you look at our own ecosystem, we are talking about spiritual and religious system, especially India is the spiritual capital of the world. And if you look at it, I'm sure either directly or indirectly, all of us follow one religion, one faith, or something else, whether it is directly known to everybody. But looking at it, we are 1.4 billion people, and we are expecting to reach out to at least 200 to 250 million people in the country in the next few years, and that number is very much comparable to what numbers you're talking about. And it's not about data, but it's about how we use the data to again help the customers and bring the customer experience to be the highest, as well as customer satisfaction to be the highest as well. Yes,
absolutely,
thank you.
Absolutely. Arpit, if I can go to you, and if you can share your thoughts about it.
Sure. So, yeah, thank you for this opportunity first. And I was kind of having thoughts when I was listening to these gentlemen around and to you around how you could ideally also use data. So now the first point that I just got in mind was, whenever we say something around AI or something around data being used, right? That always sometimes goes into a negative sense, not to the organizations but to the users, right? But what is more important to understand is, this particular data that we speak about is something, if you could control the sensitivity of it, if you could also control its privacy and transparency, In that aspect, when I speak, this data is something which is useful to you, right? Right from when we kind of use a toothbrush into the morning, I'm just giving a hypothetical example out there, but right from when you use your toothbrush and it says, you know what, you have not brushed this side from the past 2 days, right? Taking that data to going on to your offices, be it your banks, be it your, and let's say, because I still remember a company stating that their insurance, that's an insurance organization. And what they've mentioned is, if there is a vehicular damage, I'm just taking you towards the customer journey, because that's my part there. I drive towards the customer journey. So right from when he kinds of has his toothbrush, then he goes to his office, and let's say he has a minor accident or something around there, he could claim his vehicle insurance then and there by just clicking a photograph of it, right? And then the AI and the ML behind understands how much was the impact. What was the impact? Is it a repairable part or a replaceable part, and how much should be the insurance be given? And then it applies directly for the claiming part then and there itself. So right from there, 2 different organizations that works, there are plenty much of use cases of what you can do from this particular data using the AI and ML that is there, right? Now, let's take a very simple example. I would for an event booking kind of an organization. Let's say I want to book some kind of an event, and I have booths to be divided. Now this example I'm giving because I've kind of worked with one of the organizations for booking these booths, and I know how it actually went there. So let's just take this as an example. When we kind of want to book certain booths, we figure out which enterprises are coming on to this particular event. What would be their industry, what is their role, what would be the user base who's actually coming onto it, right? User or the end consumer or the visitor of the organization, and where do we ideally place these booths? Now all of this comes through data, comes through the AI, and what I feel from this side is if you could manage the data transparency properly and the data security, then I guess this data would be very much useful, and we are all covered with it. It's something to be kind of scared from an end consumer perspective and taking it of advantage from an organization perspective.
Understood. I want to shift focus a little bit. I know that we are going in a linear order, but if I can come to you, Arijit, more from a bank, the financial services perspective. You are largely a digital bank. Of course, you have started branches now, which was originally not the model. The original model was just a digital bank. If you have to open an account, you just have to upload your documents, and within I don't know, it came down from 8 days to 8 minutes or something like that.
Right.
We were able to open an account, right, with the DBS bank. Where are you seeing this going from a customer experience perspective? How are you leveraging all the data that you have in making the experience better?
Thanks for the question, Amit. Good afternoon. So this is a very classic case, and I will share what exactly we are doing in DBS Bank for Singapore market majorly, and that is also replicated other markets. So previously, our recommendation engine was purely, I have a product, it's a credit card, debit card, investment or insurance, and I want to push that product to my customer, irrespective of knowing that what customer needs, right? So whether they need a credit card or they need an investment or insurance product. So what we did, actually we have built an AI/ML based engine to improve our customer experience in terms of understanding what they want and how we can present it to them. What is the right channel to present? What is the right time to present that offer or that product details to the customer so that our conversion rate is higher, right? So what we have done, we have taken all the demographics data, all transactions data, all of their financial data is available in the system. On top of it, we have taken the feedback loop. So feedback loop is basically what customer likes. So suppose there was a previous offer, whether the customer was okay about that, they didn't like, what is the conversion rate, have they given any feedback about the product or not in the system. So we take all those feedback loop in our AI/ML driven engine and then try to recommend a product which customer need, that particular customer needs. So and we have done various set of rules based before ingesting that data into our AI/ML engine. We have a eligibility criteria, so not all customers are eligible for all the products, right? So there are high net worth group, there are retails, there are treasure, wealth customers. So we have some eligibility criteria, and on basis of that, we built our recommendation engine, which will recommend the data, the product, which customer wants that particular point in time. And that's how we have seen the success rate of the previous versus the new one has gone up at least 2%. Though the product, I think conversion rate is 2 or 3% previously, and now it is around 4 to 5%, which is a significant increment in a very cutthroat market, which is Singapore, and where the digital banks and other banks are very, very much present, and the base is very low. The consumer base is very low. So that's one of the experience, in one of the use cases where we have built on customer experience, and customer is seeing the relevant offers, and the uptake has also gone on.
Awesome. So if I can come to you, Satyendra, to understand from your perspective in your domain, how are you applying the same set of principles, but in a very unique way?
Am I audible?
I can hear.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay. So, my introduction to AI happened when I was in college, right? Back in 89, 90. There used to be a language called Lisp, right? It was something to do with language, right? Very rudimentary introduction. But back in 2015, 2016, Microsoft made it a mandate for every engineering team to look at 3-4 things before you start development for any product, right? Or any use case. Is there something that you can predict which will delight the customer or user, right? So can you predict something? Can you recommend something? Can you find some anomaly in whatever is happening? So these three, things each program manager or product manager was supposed to probe into before coming with the final software that we are going to build. So that sort of made the data science or AI person very ubiquitous. Every engineer, in return was also asking the same questions, right? Whenever you are developing, can you do these 3 things? Then you move into classification and all sort of algorithms that are there, right? In my current company, our tagline was, till about 6 months ago, insights drive innovation. And so that insights is coming mostly from what we now call AI or ML, right? So, let's say in procurement space, right? You want to give a guided buying experience to the customer. That means, what are the things you're going to buy, how you will club it, how you will classify it, what are the places where you can go and buy them at a reasonable price, what would be your logistics to get it here, time sensitive nature, should you buy something in advance, should you buy, delay your decision by a few months or few quarters based on the conditions that are there in the market. We deal with about 80,000 indices, market indices, different commodities, different markets, different things, right? So using all of this data, crunching, right, not just in plain analytics form, but applying various AI algorithms, we give this insight to the customer, right? The other part is a big companies, they spend billions of dollars every year in procuring something, either goods and services. Now, are you getting the best value out of your, $5 billion that you are spending, right? If my software can give you 10% leverage, it's a huge savings. And you'll be, if my software is saving you $500 million, you'll be happy to pay us 50 million or 25 million. So that's the premise with which we go. So we do extensive spend analytics, right? Different, we have about 500 AI models that we have built, ML models that we have built, right? So giving the customer, what are the negotiation levers? What are the alternate raw materials? What could be your sourcing strategy? Do you want to go with auction? Do you want to go with, some other sort of mechanism? So all that is built into our software that we build and we enhance, right? With the OpenAI, the conversational AI, right, or generative AI has become sort of buzzword. So we are into that also, right? Our chatbots now, they can, on the fly, they can use either ChatGPT or you can use Bard, you can use Llama, So we provide all that flexibility in our product so that our customers can benefit. So I don't know whether that answered your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I know, Vivek, long wait until we reached you, but you're representing Novartis. In some ways, you have seen this play out in different ways. Tell us a little bit about how you are seeing this play out from your customers' perspective.
Sure, I'll try to give you all the perspective that how I see it as a healthcare professional myself, right? I mean, that probably that will be more relevant for the topic, and then for sure I'll add a little bit about Novartis. But just to keep it very, very short, I know we're a little bit over time. So this space, the healthcare and treatment care of the people, is one of the area which is said that it is going to be disrupted, and I hope many of you would agree, but still we are in very, very nascent stage, right? Personally, I have not experienced it as broad as we have seen it in education space or in the finance space. And I will keep it very simple, right? We are trying to explore how these technologies, AI, ML, DL, whatever we call it, are able to help us doing better diagnosis. It means we are able to find out what is the problem, right? In a more efficient, better, and correct way. That is number one. The second thing is, if we are able to use it for better prognosis, what it means is, if we are able to predict with these features and data's insights coming out from various sources, is the patient going to live longer? Number two. And then it comes to therapy. Can we find some new treatment? Can we find some new indication for the product? So I think these are the three areas I would limit it to in the interest of time. And in terms of my personal experience also with Novartis, we are seeing it still very, very evolving state. So we are actually in the watch out space that really let's see what it brings onto the table, and then probably we'll try to maximize the benefit out of it.
Got it. So just from one question, if I really look at some of the learnings that I have, like we are able to personalize at real time at a very, very high scale. We are able to provide, because of the bots, we are able to provide significant amount of availability to our customers and employees in this case. We are able to add immersion to the experience of our customers based on the education example that we saw. If a child is interested on a particular topic, you get more, more complex examples of the same, and the child becomes more and more interested in the topic. We are seeing that playing out in apps such as TikTok and Reels, where if you like something, you get more similar kind of videos. You don't have to follow anybody. It is just automatically happens behind the scenes with the algorithms doing it. We also heard that the timing of the offer that you're making to the customers can be determined much better with all the data that we are, you're able to come together with, and able to increase your revenues based on that. You're able to improve your products based by analyzing all the feedback that is being given to you. You're able to provide more optionality to your customers based on all that, again, all the data that and the analysis that you're able to put in front. So already a lot coming out of this. I'll take a pause and see if there's any question, because we have already run out of time. But if there is any question, we'll be happy to take for anybody in the panel. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Please, the mic there, please.
So definitely a little more than just a solution for the requirement that a customer has. So with AI coming into picture, how do we address the emotions of the customers? How does AI help in capturing the emotions and then addressing them appropriately? Because a regular requirement can definitely be understood, and a tailored fit solution can be given by the AI. But how do we take care of the emotions and have the loyal relationship between the company and the customer rather than just being transactional?
Absolutely. Anybody who wants to go? Yeah.
Then you actually by mistake press some number. It will be routed to, let's say, credit card, but you're looking for your account, savings account. then immediately you will be transferred back to your savings account. Then you have to repeat all your, whatever you repeated earlier, right? You have to tell that. So that itself will make customer like, a hell lot. And then imagine there is a call disconnect happens. Then you have to call back. Then you have to go through all of this process one more time, right? So by then, even though the customer had a small issue, we made customer experience so worse in such a way customer mood is like, pretty bad. So it's all about what customer is going through is one journey, like what Amit was telling earlier. And the second one is what interactions and customer is having through and how successful it is. So you need, different companies follow different strategies. You need to have a success score, whether you're able to fulfill your customer earlier interaction. If not, then there is a broken journey there. You have to have that record and collect these customer journeys and weigh in to see what is the customer happiness index. If the index is low, then obviously customer is bad, and you need to actually care with priority and with the right set of agents. So that is how majority of the organizations are moving through.
Maybe I'll add something to it, if I may. Yeah. So I think you have asked a very good question, right? And what I believe as a healthcare professional myself and a human, right? Human stupidity is always going to supersede the artificial intelligence.
That's
right. And whatever field you are, you can talk about all the jargons in IT schools, the B schools. Stickiness and the rapport or relationship will always be built if there is an element of trust, right? And if you're able to build that emotional connect, right, with the customer, right? That would be my first take. Also, as a professional myself.
If I,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think your question is very relevant to the industry that I represent, because especially in the religious and spiritual ecosystem, the emotional connect is very, very important. But how as a technology you actually decipher that is the question, right? That can be, I would say, see, first of all, you have to get the data points. How do you know? There can be a feedback mechanism, and the feedback also has to be, again, deciphered whether there is an emotional connect there, whether a devotee is happy, and if the devotee is happy, fine. How can he or she be more happier? That is one aspect, which is the positive side. But I think we have to worry more about in the negative side, which is basically when the devotee is unhappy, and we also have to look at our own competition as well in this space. So we all have to look at the signs of emotional unhappiness from a customer feedback is one. And also, sometimes we may have to proactively inform our customer support centers to speak to them and again make notes in the system, which again gets into the data. And then you will have to see what kind of interventions we as an organization have to make. And earlier to this, I was working for one of the large retail customers in the US as well. Again, they've also had this emotional quotient calculations for the customer that is coming from various retail stores in the country in the US. Again, the same question. Again, as you know, English is a very funny language. Sometimes you don't know whether a customer is very happy or unhappy with the number of exclamations he or she puts, right? So you have to again even go to that level of understanding and then see what interventions you need to make. Ultimately, you get the customer satisfaction back into it, and you will have that loyalty of the customer is back to you, and the customer continues with you. So that's what I think is very important. And thanks to all the AI/ML interventions, we have more data churning engines that are coming in, but the insights will be with us. But as he said, what you will do with the insights is up to the individual, humans who are managing these systems. That's what I think it is important.
Just to add one more point.
Yeah, please.
Am I audible? So in terms of, so there are two different things. One is the social media impact, which is very, very, I will say, recent and real time. which we need to address as soon as possible, and for that we have some kind of screen scanner, identify the emotions, and then you have some AI ML build on it, which will categorize those emotions, right? Which is the good emotions, happy emotions, or bad emotions, negative emotions, right? And then accordingly can treat it. The other way is your long-term feedback loop, right? Which always fade into your data, and data then will understand, okay, this customer is not looking for an offer, like which is a credit card or investment, or say maybe some kind of retail, right? And he's looking for something else. So let's build that, let's route that through our AI ML engine, and the next offer goes to that customer will be specific to his needs, right? So these are the two ways we can handle using AI ML. The one is very short-term, real-time kind of. The other one is a long-term and built in AI ML engine.
I'll just take a minute, because I do understand that many of the gentlemen has quite answered all of that. So I'll just take a minute to kind of tell that this is something which also could be, my viewpoint could be a complementary to what these gentlemen have said, which is what we have to do is we'll have to always add a human element also in the AI. Now the reason I'm telling this is because we have done with one of our telecom organizations, a telecom client of ours, wherein as soon as the user kinds of starts a chat on, let's say, WhatsApp, or starts a chat on web, we kind of analyze his previous purchases onto that telecom network and then recommend him some offer. Let's say this could be that could make him happy. That's the first point from the recommendation standpoint. And then, like he was mentioning, that you'll always have to have some kind of a feedback touch. So what we do, we have covered basically 3 elements of major communication. Right from the small talk, where the bot or the artificial intelligence behind that could ideally speak to you right from your hi, hello, how are you, to understanding your sentiment, then to kind of covering your questions whichever might come to you and taking it forward. It's not only about answering it, but it is always about taking a step ahead from it. Let's say I ask something around what would be the interest rate of, let's say, a home loan. Right? That's just a basic question from a banking domain. So it should not only answer that, it would be around 10 to 12%, but rather than take the next step ahead, stating, what, you could ideally find these home rates here, and would you like to go ahead and apply for something like that? So just go ahead and apply for it. So a human touch is always necessary, even in the presence of AI, even in the presence of bots, and that is what I think we should strive for. So that is something which is complementary to what these gentlemen have kind of answered.
Absolutely.
So just the data or the information and decoding, or even if we develop it to capture some of the emotions and then transfer the data to a human for addressing it in a human way. So if someone is understanding and someone else is giving an answer, wouldn't there be a disconnect over there?
Wouldn't there be a disconnect between somebody's understanding and this? Okay, that comes to the part of how you could manage that data that is coming to you. So that is what I actually mentioned at the start, which was about the data sensitivity part. Right, so it is always about that, and you have correctly mentioned that could certainly be disconnects, but that is where the AI is growing, and the more you kind of train it, the more customer base you kind of give it, the customer base training, the segmentations of the customers, the diversity of the customers, the more closer it becomes to you. So the main agenda of me telling about the human connect is what you could always see in the next the advanced AI tools that also come up, right from your Google Assistant, where a human kinds of response, to your Siri, and now comes back to the Chat-GPT. So any of these elements also will always try to give you a human touch. And rightly said, there could be a disconnect nonetheless, but it always goes down to how much you could train with diverse sets of elements that are there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seem to have a follow-up, no? Okay. There's one question here, please.
Hello.
The mic here.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Hi, Amit, and hi, the panelists. Good afternoon to you all. I know we have been discussing about of us here are customer-centric. I really want us to see if you can maybe touch upon the topic of how AI and ML can make a difference in the employee experience. Are there any organizational strategies that your individual companies are focusing to address this opportunity? Have you seen any products which are trying to look at how do we enable to listen to the employees and create a better customer experience by changing your employee experience? If you can touch upon that topic, I would really be happy to listen from you guys.
So I can get started, and but more recently what has started happening is a lot of those tools are now they are turning inwards and being deployed for our employees. I'll give an example. ServiceNow was a tool that was used by customers to raise tickets whenever they found a problem with the product that they're using. This was a customer facing product. But now you have ServiceNow models which run internally for the internal users. This is true with Remedy as well. It used to be external facing, more for customer usage, but now you have internal usage which are having more HR modules, IT modules, which means that employees within your organization are using the same interface and the same set of product guidelines overall that are being used by the customers on the other side. So I can definitely see that the tide is now moving towards the employees as well. See, the reason originally a lot more focus went into the customers was obviously to go after revenue. But once the revenue question started to be solved by everything that we did, clearly the experience that the employees wanted was also, because they were using all these applications, all these apps, whether they're using Uber or Amazon or Google, they want the same experience in their organizational tools that they are using. So EX has started to become a bigger topic, but I still think there is a significant divide. Between CX and EX, there is a divide. If I have to rate, and by the way, I was asked the same question in one of the other panels. If I have to rate, I think CX has moved to 7 out of 10. EX is probably still between 4 and 5 out of 10. It still has some way to go, and that is where I think it can benefit from a lot of the research that is happening on the CX that can start getting implemented on the EX perspective. I don't know if you would like to add.
30 seconds answer from my side. There are some organizations evolved with the use case what you are talking about. You can talk about the Pulse survey, you can talk about GPTW, Great Places to Work, or you can talk about, there are numerous surveys which leverage the AML to see the pulse of the employees and what are the top challenges they are facing. And several organizations adopted those and they're really working on it. As Amit said, yes, there's some slight improvements to move on, but yes, industry is there.
Yeah, Vivek.
Yeah, I would talk about not employee experience specifically, but I would say in the ecosystem we have partners. So we talk about partner experience because partner experience is again driving towards a better end customer experience for us as well. For example, the ecosystem I already talked about, within which we have not only low tech savvy or non-tech savvy customers, but we also have a behavioral wise as well. Many of them or I would say not as refined as you and I expect them to be, and how their experience have to be improved by whatever interventions IMFDR technologies have to bring in. So we invest time and effort in training them in their own native language so that they are basically ready for providing their services to any, I would say individual devotee across India or across the Indian diaspora outside the country as well, because as we know, the expectations of the devotee/customers are different from where they are coming from. And if a priest or a numerology or vastu continues to behave in a certain way that they're always used to when they're talking to an individual on the ground when they meet them, it may not be exactly the same, right? They want different kinds of behavioral patterns and traits when they're doing a video call with a devotee, right? So those kind of important things, but we always use these techniques to say, okay, who need more help versus who need tweaking or who need training, those interventions will be making so that the entire ecosystem will be improved overall. I hope I answer your question from that perspective. Thank you.
I guess with that, we can wind up this session.
Yeah, we have to this eminent panel. And now, if you wish to, you can applause for the panel.
Yeah, we will be available for you to take any more questions.